What's cold, refreshing, and knocks iced coffee out of the water? Welcome to Coffee in My Veins, by coffee lovers and for coffee lovers. In this video, we'll talk about cold brew coffee and how to make it at home. You'll see that it's really easy to make and it's incredibly delicious too. To make cold brew coffee, it's a good idea to do it in a French press. That's because a French press has a built-in filter which will help you pour out the coffee later by separating the water and the coffee grounds. Alternatively, you can use a paper filter which you tie up into a little coffee pouch. There are also cold brew coffee makers which use a similar idea. Use a pouch made from a handkerchief, that's fine too. There's nothing fancy going on in the brew itself, so as long as you have some means of separating the coffee grounds from the water, you'll be fine. Cold brew coffee uses coarsely ground coffee, even more coarse than French press. Now for how much coffee you need. There are a lot of cold brew ratios from 1 to 2, 1 to 4, 1 to 8, and everything in between. I tried using 1 to 2, but the coffee just absorbed all of the water by the end of 16 hours, and there was nothing left to filter out. Since I've got a small French press here, I'm using 1 to 4, which leaves just enough room for the grounds and water. I'm using 30 grams of coffee and 120 mils of water. A 1 to 4 ratio will brew a concentrate which you can then dilute with ice, milk, or water. You could try drinking it straight, but you may find it overwhelming. Finally, if you use 1 to 8, you'll get something you can drink right away. Just bear in mind that you should brew a lot of coffee in this case, so go for 1 liter of water to 125 grams of coffee. You'll also need something big to brew it in, like a big mason jar. Gently stir the coffee and water and place the brew in the fridge for 16 to 18 hours. You can also brew on the countertop if you live in a cool climate. You want to stir just enough to mix the coffee grounds and water, but you don't really want to agitate the mixture. Roughly 16 hours later, we can separate the coffee and water. You can either enjoy it right away, like I'm going to do in these 2 glasses, or you can fill up the mixture in a jar and use it for later. I'll plunge down and pour out the concentrate in 2 glasses. If you were using a paper filter or a handkerchief, you could simply just remove the paper filter and the handkerchief and you'd be ready to pour out. In 1 glass, I'm going to pour out over a copious amount of ice. As the ice melts, you will have a really cold drink to enjoy. You can also dilute with water if you plan on drinking right away, because it's going to be pretty cold right out of the fridge. The other I will pour some milk into for a nice classical cold coffee. Cold brew tastes incredibly smooth and refreshing and does not have much of the intensity and bitterness found in hot coffee. It's definitely worth trying. Just don't mistake it for a glass of Coke if it's on the countertop. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe, and check out the blog for more information at coffeeinmyveins.com.